There are many mistakes I see cruisers make, but these have got to be the most common 10 mistakes Disney cruisers make. You don't want to do these on your cruise. The number one mistake I see is paying too much for a Disney cruise. Disney cruises are expensive, this is true, but you can find a better price. One of the easiest ways to do this is to book your vacation as soon as the cruise dates are announced. Now, these come out a few times a year, so you've got to keep an eye on that. They typically will be announced about a week to 2 weeks before they're going to be open for reservations. When they are open for reservations, those are going to be available to book depending on your Castaway Club level. The Castaway Club is Disney Cruise Line's loyalty program. If you have not been on any cruises, you are not yet in the club. After your first cruise, you automatically become a Silver Castaway Club member. Then they go up from there, 1 through 5, you'll still be a Silver member. On your 6th cruise, you'll go to Gold. They also have Platinum and Pearl as you have more cruises. When they announce the new cruise dates, Pearl will get to reserve their dates first. A few days after that, it will be available for Platinum and so on through Gold, Silver, and brand new Disney cruisers. Now, just because those people are able to reserve cruises before brand new cruisers does not necessarily mean all of the good prices are gone. So it's very important to just book early. Those are when the best rates are. If for some reason the rate goes down over time, some travel agents will watch for that and you will get a refund from Disney. If you notice that the rate has gone down for the cabin that you have reserved, you can request a refund from Disney. In addition to booking early, a few other mistakes I see if you're really trying to look for a great discount on a Disney cruise. You definitely don't want to travel in the summer. You're going to want to go off season in January, September, sometimes February. And there's also a bit of a rate decrease. For example, if you're wanting to go to Alaska, those very first couple of cruises and the very last couple of cruises of the season are going to be the best prices that you will find. And if you have not booked early, don't despair. Nothing's set in stone. You can sometimes get a good deal as you get much closer to the cruise, especially within that last 90 days or so. People are going to be paying in full. Disney Cruise Line knows how many staterooms they have left available, and these will go on a VTG. It's basically a guaranteed stateroom. You pick the type of room, you'll reserve that type of room, and then as you get closer to cruise date, Disney Cruise Line will tell you what your stateroom number is. But definitely, I think booking early is the best bet. If you like this video, please share it with a friend or your cruise group. That really is the best way to help us grow. We really appreciate it. Now, number 2 mistake that you do not want to make: do not fly in or drive in the day of your cruise. Please, please, please. It can seem like you don't need to be there ahead of time, especially if you only live a couple of hours from the port, or maybe it's a 1-hour flight to the port. But of course, we all know this. Traffic happens, accidents happens. If they close that road and you can't get to the ship, well, that's that. It doesn't matter that you're 2 hours away because you're not going to get on the ship. If flights are delayed because of weather or anything else, it doesn't matter that your flight was only an hour away because you've still got to get to the ship. And one little pro tip here: when you get there the night before, get yourself a room that overlooks the dock. That way you can see the ship in port in the morning when you get up. It's really fun to do that. It's like Christmas morning. I love it. If you've got little ones, they'll love it. And if you're a big kid at heart, you're probably going to love it too. Number 3, another huge mistake I see is not researching ports. First, just look into how the port works, transportation around the area, and the currency that you need. You can discover which ports you might want to just wander on your own or have a port excursion scheduled for. Obviously, port excursions are a huge part of the trip, but it's really good to know how the port operates. For example, if you're getting off at the port, you're going to do your own thing, you haven't booked an excursion, you want to just get around, go to the beach, whatever. Some locations have set prices for public transportation. So if you're going to take a taxi over to the beach, it's going to be a set price. You know you're not going to have any variance in what that is as far as getting back to the ship. Also, I highly recommend checking into the temperatures, especially if you're going to a hot, humid location. Make sure you have a lot of cold water on you at all times. Pro tip: get one of those little neck wraps that you can get wet, put in the freezer, take that with you. They only last about 10 or 15 minutes though, but it can be nice to have. And another pro tip: if you happen to be out in the heat a lot, you can take a few washcloths, put them in a Ziploc bag, take them with you when you get to the stateroom, get them wet, and throw them in your freezer. Then just take that with you at the port. You've got some nice cool rags on you. Especially if you're going to take a little cooler or something, you can just go up to the soda station on deck, get some ice, and away you go. But definitely make sure you have water. The other thing you want to research for ports is for the port excursions. You can go through Disney Cruise Line. They have port excursions listed on their website. For brand new cruisers, those excursions will be open for selection 75 95 days before your cruise. And of course, our pro tip, get on there at midnight Eastern Standard Time. Prior to that opening, you'll want to know what type of port excursions you might want to do. There is a list on Disney Cruise Line's website of some examples for each port. You can go third party if you would like to for your port excursions. If you do that, just be aware that you must be back to the ship before they leave. If you're on a Disney Cruise Line excursion and something happens, they're going to be late back to the port, they'll make sure they get you onto the ship. If you are out on third party or on your own, you've got to be back in time or you can get left on the pier. So it is really a good idea to book Disney-led excursions, especially if you have that type of concern. The other thing you want to make sure and research for these port excursions is any tiny humans that will be on your excursion with you. A lot of excursions have minimum age where you can't bring a 2-year-old maybe. Some of them are actually 8 as the minimum age. Of course, these are going to be for your more active excursions, but you just never know, so make sure you research the types of excursions you want to do and what those age limits and active limits might be. Sometimes people just don't want to deal with a big heavy hike during their vacation, so those are things you want to consider for your excursions. And of course, money for any gratuities or souvenirs you want to buy. Pro tip, get yourself a dated ornament from the island. That's a lot of fun to see at Christmas. Number 4, huge mistake you do not want to make. Make sure you get those passports in time. So here's the thing. Not every Disney cruiser is going to have a passport, and that is legally allowed. Currently, if you're going on a Disney cruise that starts at one port and ends at another port, you have to have a passport for that cruise. But if you are doing what is called a closed loop port, you do not have to have a passport. It is highly recommended. It is a great idea. You should do it, but it is not required by law. A closed loop port example is a 7-night Bahamian cruise from Port Canaveral. You are going to both board, which embarkation is what they say, and get off the ship, disembarkation, at the exact same port. If that is the case, then you do not have to have a passport. You can have an official birth certificate and other documentation. Make sure you verify exactly what you need well in advance, like seriously 3-4 months, because if you need the passport or you need the birth certificate and they're having long mailing times and processing times, that's really important to know. There are fees that you can pay to get things processed faster if you need to do that, but the closed port is leaving and returning to the exact same port. The issue with this is if something does happen and somebody needs to get off the ship and fly back home, you cannot do that without a passport book. They have passport cards. That does not work for air travel. So that's why it's so important to get a passport book. The passport card is for land and sea travel, but if you need to fly home, you have to have a passport. So keep that one in mind. Put it on your to-do list. It's just nice to not have to stress about that, honestly. And we have traveled without passports and with passports, and I definitely much preferred it with one. Another important tip, though, is make sure that your names match your IDs. Number 5 mistake I see a lot is that people do not request baby items. You can actually bring babies on a cruise. The minimum age to sail aboard a Disney Cruise Line ship is 6 months at the day of sailing. If, however, you are going on a transatlantic, Panama Canal, or Hawaii itinerary, the minimum age is 1 year on the day of sailing. They don't play with these. They're very firm. Make sure you verify this. So if you go on Disney Cruise Line's website, they have a section called Traveling with Little Ones. This will tell you everything you need to know for bringing a baby on board Disney Cruise Line. A few things to be aware of, first of all, are you are going to want to pre-reserve nursery time for the babies. The nursery is up to 3 years of age, and there is a charge. I believe it's $4.50 per half hour. It could have gone up by now, though, but you definitely have to make those reservations. In addition to that, they have quite a few things that are available, but they are first come, first serve. So I would request these as soon as you book the cruise. Their website states, quote, all complimentary services and amenities are offered on a first come, first serve basis. If you want to reserve a crib or make other special arrangements for your child, sign into My Reservations, select Special Requests, and fill out their special request forms. For food allergies, accessibility assistance, or medical equipment, you'll want to utilize their special services form. Some of the complimentary items that they have available for that first come, first serve request form are diaper disposal units, bottle warmers, bottle sterilizers, cribs, playpens, strollers, pack and plays. And if you do have one of these cribs, your stateroom host will take care of putting it up and taking it back down. As far as food goes, they have fresh pureed vegetables that can be prepared at the main dining rooms or through room service upon request. On Castaway Cay, they have complimentary wagons available. And then, of course, they have many items available on their onboard merchandise shops. Please note, on your first day of the cruise, that shop's not going to open until later in the evening. Any days you're out in port, the shop is also going to be closed. The shops are not allowed to be open while in port. So if you are thinking of buying something on the cruise ship, just keep that in mind, that they're not going to be open until later. Number 6 mistake is just not having some of those items that you really need for a cruise. I highly suggest creating a cruise kit that you take with you all the time. Keep it in your suitcase strictly for the cruise. Some of the things that we like to keep in our cruise kit are reef-safe sunscreen. That's really important for the reefs. Water bottles, anti-nausea medications. We use Bonine, B-O-N-I-N-E. We also bring C-bands and these 4-in-1 ginger drops that I really love to have. We also like to have magnetic hooks, a couple of reusable water bottles, especially the stay cold kind, band-aids, bobby pins, safety pins. Just having some of those items on hand does make it just a little bit easier in case something pops up. Number 7, huge mistake, don't schedule too much. I know, we have so many videos on this channel on all the things that you need to do for your cruise. And it's true, but every cruise is not the same. If it's your first or your 5th cruise, you're going to be experiencing different things most likely on some of those cruises. Now, we like to do the chocolate and liquor tasting on every cruise, so some things you'll definitely do again. But what is most important with all of that scheduling is to not schedule. You need to leave some time in your schedule for absolutely nothing, because it's those nothing times that the best magic can happen on ship. You can wander the ship and then you'll see Chip and Dale playing musical circles with cast members, or a sleepwalking Goofy if you're up early in the morning, or a pop-up character dance party in the atrium randomly throughout the day. These are things that are not scheduled activities. They're just wander around and magic happens type experiences. So make sure you've got time in your schedule to just enjoy it, especially if you're the planner. It is so easy to get caught up in making sure everybody's having a good time, doing the things that you have scheduled, where you need to be, etc. It's quite easy. It's quite common to get to the end of that cruise and go, oh shoot, I forgot to enjoy the cruise. You'll be having lots of fun, of course, because it's a lot of fun, but I highly recommend some downtime in your day to just enjoy the magic. There are so many fun Easter eggs on board too. We'll get into that in a different video, but really just make sure you wander the ship and take it all in. Our very favorite thing to do is to go to Funnel Vision late in the evening. They usually have it running till about midnight. I just love to sit up there with some tea and enjoy the ocean air and a good Disney movie. It's a great way to end your day. Number 8 biggest mistake, packing too much and not unpacking on the first day. Rule of thumb, take everything that you want to pack, lay it out on your bed, cut it in half. That's not necessarily as easy to do when you've got little ones with princess dresses and full pirate costumes for everybody in your family, etc. That stuff takes space. So we have a few tips here. 1, use packing cubes. For organization, you can take them from your suitcase right into the drawers. Vacuum seal bags are really good as well. They make these ones where you can just basically sit on it and the air will come out the end. It's a really good way to squish things down so you have a little more space. My very favorite tip though is to leave half of your suitcase empty. Of course, I never do this. It's completely stuffed full and I have to check it for weight. But if you can have a suitcase that's half empty, that's a great way to bring back souvenirs without having to buy another suitcase. Or we also will just pack an empty duffel bag sometimes so that we have that available for souvenirs on the way home. When you get into the stateroom, it'll be about 2. As soon as those suitcases are delivered, I would go ahead and unpack everything. That way you are moved into the room, especially if you're doing a 7-night or longer cruise. It's really nice just to have that done. You're not digging in suitcases all the time. You can bring a pop-up hamper, put it in the closet. When it's full, throw it back in the suitcase. And pro tip, on the Disney Dream this summer, they have started a wash and fold service, 30 items for $25. They say it's a 48-hour window in order to get the items back. I have seen that it's taking more like 3 or 4 days. Sometimes there are damages. It's a brand new program, so definitely keep an eye out for that, but it could be very handy to use that, especially on a longer trip, like the transatlantic, and the Dream does go over to Europe, so that can be a handy little tip. And if you don't want to use the wash and fold, they also have laundry available on ship. I have never used this, but I also don't travel with the tiny humans, and sometimes you just need to be able to do laundry, so that is available as well. We really like using the service that's on all the ships. It's not dry clean, but it is like a cleaning service. We can send it out that night. It'll be back the next day by afternoon, and it was like $3 for a tie to be cleaned. I think it was actually a little cheaper than that, so really affordable also. Number 9, make sure you budget extra money. You don't want to make the mistake of having too little money for your onboard activities and souvenirs. There will be gratuities that you'll want to pay. You'll likely want to pay more gratuities because the The servers are so fabulous. Stateroom host is so wonderful. We often like to have a little extra money for gratuities for that. Also for room service. Pro tip, another mistake people often make is not utilizing room service. It's 24-hour room service that is included with the cost of your cruise. We usually leave about a $1 or $2 tip per item. And number 10 mistake is not booking placeholders while on the ship. While you are on the ship, you can make a $250 placeholder. Once you get off the ship, you can go pick a cruise, apply that $250 placeholder to the deposit on the cruise, and you will save 10% off the cost of that cruise. You do have to do the placeholder while you are on board. So that's one thing you definitely want to remember to do. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out 27 Disney Cruise Secrets or our dining guide on absolutely everything food on Disney Cruise Line.